So today we propagating tomatoes. We got our purple Cherokee tomato right here, and we're also propagating our sun gold tomatoes. You want to make sure your tomatoes are watered before you cut them because that will minimize the stress. So what we do is we take a cut, and you want to cut them at the node where the sucker's at because that's where the growth is going to happen now. That's where the most growth is going to happen. So cutting it at that sucker branch is one of the steps to help guarantee that you'll have successful rooting. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to cut off the leaf tips. Now, what that does is it sends signals to the plant growth intersections and tells it to stop growing leaves and sends the energy down to grow roots. And that's what you want when you're propagating. You want roots. Never mind that strangly right there. I know that I missed a piece, but so here we go. Took a second cut, cutting it right at that little internode, the sucker branch. Another tip y'all want to keep in mind to prevent plant diseases is make sure your equipment is sanitized. So get isopropyl alcohol and dip your scissors, your blades, whatever you're using to make your cuts with, make sure that they're properly sanitized because that's how diseases spreads in plants and other stuff. So what I have right here is my DIY cloner / propagator. Made it for like $40. This is the first day when I made my cuts, just showing y'all what the stems look like. This is 6 days later. Got a little bit of rooting going on. It ain't the best. I don't got the best pump in here, so you know them roots would have been a little bit longer if I had the right pump. But it's working. It's doing its job. Make sure your environment's right. I got a humidifier in my room, and I got a fan blowing in there. This is day 10. Ready to transplant. You see them roots is a little bit longer. They ain't looking ideal, but they're good enough, healthy enough to transplant. We got 2 out of the 3 cuts successfully propagated. The other one didn't make it. So what you want to do is you want to get a good organic potting soil. What I have here is some Roots Organic 707 potting mix. Another key tip, guys, make sure that y'all labeling the pots. You got to make sure you know what you're growing. So what I do is I get blue painter's tape and I put it right on the pot. Sometimes I'll get little plant hanger ties or plant hanger labels, and I'll hang them on the stems also. So that way I have blue painter's tape on the pot and I'll have the label on the stems. Just a little gold nugget for y'all. All right, so now we're taking our cutting. Be very, very careful with the roots. You don't want to damage the roots. The roots is like the heart of the plant. So if you damage the roots at the transplant, it kind of fucks everything else off. So make sure the roots don't get damaged. What I do is I kind of drop them in and kind of twist them, and the roots kind of just twirl up and go in the dirt. Now, when I transplant my cuttings, I want them to hit the ground running. So what I do is I inoculate my soil. And what inoculating your soil basically is introducing beneficial microbes, bacteria, aminic acids, so on. So what I have is Recharge. Shout out Scotty at the DGC. It's a great product. It's got a bunch of glomuses in it, Glomus intratus. You can read it. It's got humic acids, fulvic acids, humic acids, molasses, kelp, everything your plant needs to bounce back once it gets transplanted. So this is just a cool little shot I want to show y'all. It's the Recharge going into the water. It looks pretty dope. But yeah, so this will help a lot when you transplant. It will help your plant bounce back to limit the transplant shock. So one thing to help limit transplant shock, make sure your plant is properly watered before you make the cut. Another thing, make sure your roots don't get harmed when you're transplanting. Make sure your environment is right when you're propagating. And make sure your soil is watered, properly watered, or at least damp before you transplant and inject your soil with beneficial microbes. All right, y'all, to the next one. Hold it down.